Welcome to Silicon Valley Business, a show focused on highlighting the innovation and heart of Silicon Valley. I'm your host, Oscar Garcia, and today, in honor of Women's History Month, our topic is Women in Business, and we have three incredible women business owners. My first guest is Johanna Wise, founder of Refresh Your Career, Corretta Cannon, entrepreneur and founder of Carrie B, and Leane Reelfs, co-owner of Helmings Auto Repair. Welcome, all three of you. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
So let me start off with the first question. Tell me a little bit about your company and what it does.
So Refresh Your Career, what we do is we host conferences for people who have been out of the workforce for a while and are looking to return after a career gap. That could be people who were stay-at-home parents, people who took care of their parents, elder care, people who had a short-term illness or were laid off and are just needing that little bit of extra help to get back into the swing of things in terms of getting a job.
Okay, excellent. And Carrie, what about Carrie B? What is Carrie B?
So Carrie B is going to be an online fashion store that caters to women, and yeah, that's pretty much it. But it's set to open fall of 2014.
24. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Great. Well, we know what auto repair is, Leane, but tell us maybe how you started your company.
Absolutely. So our business is Helmings Auto Repair, and we work on all makes and models. People say, do you specialize? We work on everything, and we do everything to keep your car rolling and on the road, everything that the dealership does. We started our business, we picked up a business already existing. My husband had worked for the previous owner for 10 years before he decided to retire and sell us the business. So that's how we came into it. People say, why did you go to auto repair? And we just sort of came into it.
Good. Excellent. So again, this is Women's History Month, and I want to ask all three of you this question. And Johanna, is it still necessary for us to be celebrating Women's History Month, and if so, why is that?
Well, I think it's important to celebrate everybody because everyone makes a contribution. And the reason Women's History Month is important is I think very often because men wrote history books, what women contributed to history is somehow not recorded. So it's important to have that conversation going and that dialogue keep going.
Corretta, what are your thoughts on celebrating Women's History Month?
I think it's very important to celebrate women's history as well as, any type of history, because you have to know like how far we came, where we come from, in order to continue to move forward. And women have played a significant part in history. And I remember back in high school, I read a book called Founding Mothers, because, usually when people talk about like how, America was created, they're talking about the men and not talking about the women's contributions as well. Yeah. Okay. So it's very important. Yeah.
Leane, what are your thoughts?
I like that idea too. And I think that it's really important as we do Women's History Month to look back on some of the famous women or women that were really movers and shakers at the time, ahead of their time, whether, it was Susan B. Anthony or, just some of the other women leaders from the past that made really a deep impression on us. And I think that Women's History Month is sort of a vehicle to bring all that fresh again, because we forget, right?
Sure.
And then when we have a Women's History Month, it puts it in the forefront of our minds.
That's true, very important, I agree. So, Leane, how has your life experience influenced your decision to start your own business?
It's kind of funny, the way that I came into our business was sort of through the back door. I mean, I was raising our two kids. They were 1 and 3 when we bought our business, and so I was really busy with them. So I was not that active of a business owner. Looking back, I wish I had been. I don't know if I could have been, given, managing my children at the time. But everything that I learned at my previous job, I'd done a lot of different things and wore a lot of different hats. And so I was an accounting clerk. I managed all of the office machines. I did a bunch of, postage and mailing and keeping machines running and, and bookkeeping and inventory and all of that. And so all of that I brought to me, to our business, and was able to go with it. So it wasn't like I was starting fresh. It was like, okay, I remember doing this, and this is what I can pull from that.
Interesting. Yeah. Corretta, you had to overcome a lot of struggles. I know when you're reading your bio. Tell us about your life experiences and again how that's influenced your decision to start Carrie B?
So pretty much, when I was young, I grew up in foster care since I was 2. Luckily with the same family. So, I mean, it's hard dealing with that because, it's like I'm kind of still dealing with it. But I feel that it motivates me because a lot of foster youth, at my age, they're having kids, they're not in school, they're just working some job that's, gonna barely help them get by. And by me actually, starting my business, I can just show them hope that, you can still go after your dreams, regardless of what you went through or how long it takes. It's just about just finding that stability and finding, people and family, friends, or whoever to motivate you and help you along the way.
Excellent. Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. What about for you, Johanna?
So for me, my background was, before I started staying home with my children, I was in investment banking and also in management consulting. And I never thought that I would step out of the workforce ever. I'm the only child of immigrant parents, and anyone who's ever in that position knows that they put everything they have on you and your education. And neither of my parents had either gone to college as well. So it wasn't until that I had my daughter, or we had our daughter, that I realized I really needed to spend time with her. And I just had too demanding a career in order to do both. So I stayed home with her. We had a son as well. And I ended up staying out of the workforce for over 15 years. And then when I went back into the workforce, I found how difficult it was. I'm still that same person with the same talents and the same motivation. And yet it was very difficult to get interviews. It was very difficult to be taken seriously, that I actually did want to go back and work full time. And so I realized I needed help. And I talked to a number of different coaches, and I got some help from them. And I ended up starting my own business. I found an opportunity to start a business. This was before Refresh Your Career. I started Keep Me Tax Free, which was a company, or it still is running, a company that helps not-for-profits get their not-for-profit status. We file with the government. And the people I hired for that business were mostly stay-at-home moms who were looking for projects to do part-time at their convenience, at their hours that they could. And the more of those people that I found, the more I realized there really was a need to help people like that get back in the workforce. So I'm one of them. I found a big group, and I just started putting everybody together, the workshop facilitators, the people who were looking for help, and have hosted several conferences.
What are some of the challenges or more common challenges that you see people that are re-entering the workforce experience, that are experiencing?
One thing is what to explain what you did during those gap years. And when I look around here, when people take time off, they are not sitting at home eating bonbons. They are in school doing fundraising. They are working with not-for-profits. They are working to better the environment. But what they're not doing is keeping track of what they're doing, getting recommendations from those organizations, and they're unable to put on their resume the results of their efforts. And that's a key thing that we help people do, how you market and how you articulate what you did during that time that you took off. But really the number one thing we do is help people boost their confidence. Because after a couple of very demoralizing interviews, people really believe that no one will hire them. And that's not true. I have many, many success stories of people who found someone who would believe in them because they could tell them what value they were bringing to them. And that's the key. Right,
that's true. Mentorships, mentors. How is important is having a mentor or mentors in one's life?
It's very important. I mean, I have, probably, multiple mentors who, mentor me in different ways. But it definitely keeps you grounded and keeps you motivated. And it's nice to have someone to talk about certain issues, because it's always nice to have someone who can kind of like talk you through things or help you get over things or whatnot. So it's very important.
Right, that's true.
Yeah.
Leane, now you're involved in many things. I know most recently you're on the Leadership Mountain View Council. You were on the board of the Mountain View Chamber of Commerce. In fact, you were on the board when I got hired at the Chamber. And Little League, and you have two boys that are very active. I think they play baseball 24 days,
I think so.
24 hours, 7 days a week. Tell me about work-life balance. You hear that a lot. Is that truly achievable, or is that something that we are just kind of like a hamster on a wheel?
That's a really good question, and I think that it means different things to different people. And for somebody with a really high-powered career, I don't feel like I have a really high-powered career. I'm a business owner, and I'm really committed to that, and I'm also really committed to my children. Yes, like you mentioned about baseball, that is a huge time commitment for us, and people, it blows their mind when we talk about how much we're at games and where we are and what we're doing and where we're driving and all of that. That's just what we do, and so that is part of our balance in our home life. It's only one part of it, because of course we have, you know, who we are as a family, and being together and eating dinner together, which is really important as well. And I work with my husband, so there's that blurred line between, you know, corporate or business life and family life. And, you know, I've had a lot of women say, oh my gosh, how do you work with your husband? Mine would drive me crazy. And I don't know how we make it work, but we just do. And it's not that just we don't have any other choice. We communicate, and sometimes we get frustrated with each other, but we make it work. And you know, I wouldn't trade this experience for anything. I've learned a lot about him, and I think he's learned a lot about me. And in our roles as business owners and leaders within our own business, you know, I've watched Mike grow as a man and a leader and really own his position. And I've been really proud to watch that. And he's seen me grow and change as well. So it's a really interesting experience to go through with your husband.
Well, I personally have seen the two of you work together, and certainly, was I think a couple of years ago, the Chamber honored Helmings Auto as Outstanding Small Business of the Year. So congratulations.
Thank you.
On what you're doing.
And just say you're also great role models for your children.
Oh,
I mean,
thank
what a
you.
wonderful thing to see, a partnership that's able to share in such a wonderful way. I mean, kudos to you.
Thank you.
That's true. That's true. Johanna, what are some of the biggest challenges that women face right now in the corporate world?
Well,
and have those challenges changed in maybe the last over time?
Yeah. Well, I think that with more men taking on roles at home, there is no longer as much of a stigma about women with families. So in other words, I think corporations are understanding that when a woman has a family, that they can work. When I stepped out, there really was no place for me in that company to manage a family and have a career there. There was no part-time option. There was no shared work. It was an all or nothing situation. I see many more companies now that are willing to have two people share a role, or someone work more from home. That was unheard of back in the day. So I think things like that make life a lot easier, and a lot of that I think is too, as I said, when men do more at home, they see the value of what is done at home. They share in that. Women have a little more flexibility then. Your situation's fabulous, your story. And I think companies are beginning to now come around to that. So I think that's a lot of progress.
A lot of it. Interesting.
And I see a lot of that too. And you know, when my kids were in elementary school, there were a lot more dads staying home.
Yes.
Than, you know, I recall when I was growing up. None of the dads stayed home.
The first conference we held, there were 5 men out of 120 attendees. And at the last conference, 20% were men.
Wow, okay.
Okay, this is
That's
a 6 month difference.
Yeah.
So what that's saying is not that many more men are now staying home in the last 6 months. What to me that said is men now are willing to go to a conference to ask for help and come out in the limelight and say, yes, I have chosen to stay home with my children. Now I'd like to go back, and I'd like some help with that. I mean, I think it's great progress.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that. Corretta, what are some of the challenges that you have encountered in the pursuit of starting your own company?
There are a lot of challenges I've had to overcome and are still overcoming. I mean, well, since I'm trying to start, you know, I'm in the process of starting this business, like just contacting like the brands that I would like to carry on. some of them aren't going to allow me the chance to do that right away because they want to see, 6 months, a year, like, are you producing sales? Like, are you, going to be able to carry our brand well? So that's been a really hard challenge, but, some have also given me the opportunity to do so. So that's one of the challenges that was pretty big, because once I actually launched the store, like, the first impression is going to be the best. That's what people are going to remember when they go onto the website, like what brands I'm carrying, how, the aesthetics, how it looks. So that was very important. Yeah.
Have you encountered any challenges from friends or family, maybe doubting that you have?
I still am. People are like, what are you doing? Why are you wasting your money? Oh my gosh, it's so much work. And you know what? I just realized I don't care, because it's something I want to do that I know it's going to make me happy and a bunch of women everywhere happy as well. So at the end of the day, that's what matters. And especially for, like I said, for young people who do have these dreams that people are like, oh, don't do that, don't do that. I'm showing them that, yes, I did do it, regardless of all the people saying not to. And I actually did go to school for fashion merchandising at one point. And even when I was going to school, people were still like, why would you choose this? This is not a career. You need to go to school to be a doctor, or you need to go and be a nurse. Like, I was like, no, that's not what I want to do. If I'm paying money to go to school, I'm going to go for something I want to learn.
Yes.
And good for you for doing that anyway, and we got similar responses from, Mike's parents were really concerned about the risk.
Right.
If it fails, it's all you. And, they were a teacher in a union and an airplane mechanic in a union, and that was safe. And so for us to buy the business, it was really, they were very concerned. Sure. And, I think they're a little bit more relaxed now that we have a few years under our belt, but kudos to you for
the risks are really high, but at the end of the day, I can say I did it, and if it worked, it worked. If it didn't, it didn't. But.
For you.
Right. Yeah. I think a lot of times our friends and relatives tend to be our biggest critics, and in a way, I understand where they're coming from, because they don't want us to fail. They don't want us to get hurt. The intentions are there, but you definitely need that cheerleader there by your side as well. Leane, people measure success in many different ways. What could be a title, it could be financial, material things, or maybe people you impact. How do you measure success?
By my joy and my happiness. And I think that is always the bottom line for everything, regardless of what I'm involved in. I'm not going to do it if it doesn't make me happy. And at the end of the day, the people that came into the shop and whose car we worked on, and the interaction that we had at the counter as they were checking out, that's what brings me the greatest joy. Because, okay, so Connie came in today. She is going to be 90 in April. She's not driving anymore. And so the last month has been, please try and get my car smogged, because I still want to drive, and it's not going to pass smog, and the registration is due. And so she's really having a hard time. She's not going to drive anymore, right? Because it doesn't make sense to buy a new car. Sure. We've been working on her car forever, and Connie comes in and she brings us cookies, and she's wonderful, right? So it's one of the family. And so she came in today with her caregiver, and we thought when we saw her 2 weeks ago that it was going to be, we're not going to see you again because we don't see your car, even though we would, go by and say hi. But she just came by to bring us cookies and, to say hi. And those are the kinds of things that make my day. Because our customers are so awesome, and that's where the blending of work and life is just wonderful to me. It's those special relationships.
Sure.
Yeah.
How about for you, Johanna? How do you measure success?
Oh, it's the same thing. It's the difference that you make at the end of the day. The passion for what you do. There's some saying I just read that said, if you're working hard at something you don't like, that's stress, right? But if you're working at what you love, that's passion. It's just like what you're feeling, right? Yeah. And that's it. Every time I get an email from someone that says, I just found a job, or I decided I didn't want to go back to work, but I found a not-for-profit I want to spend my time on. Every time I read that someone is heading in a direction they want to head towards, I know that I've made a difference, right? In their life, and probably their family's life, and their friends' life, and so on. It's just this trickle through
Right.
society. So
Yeah, the impact that we have on other people.
yeah,
Definitely.
just keeps rolling. Yeah.
Corretta, 50 years from now, what kind of an impact, or what do you want people to say about what you did the prior 50 years?
50 years from now. Oh, that's a long way away. I don't know. I mean, hopefully, you know, they would just see that, I didn't come from much, and I, started something that I put my heart into, and hopefully I touch, a bunch of people along the way.
Mm-hmm.
So something like along those lines.
Yeah, it really made a difference. Didn't
Yeah.
give up on your dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Leanne, how about for you and your business and Mike?
Oh my gosh. Well, hopefully we're not still working on cars in 50 years. I'll be pretty old then. But I hope that people, the impact that I want to make is that people go, oh wow, Helmings Auto Repair, that was a really honest shop, and those people were awesome. They were like family to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I, that's how I feel where we are right now. And I just, want people to look back and go, they were a family that was really committed to the community, and they cared.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, thank you. And same question for you, Johanna.
Oh, in the future, what do I want
Yes.
people to remember? I'd like them to remember me as a kind person. That's always been very important to me. Because when I reach out to people, you never know what their day is. You never know what their history is.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's always been, and I think that's led me into whether it's helping not-for-profits with getting their tax-exempt status so that they can get donations,
Mm-hmm.
or whether it's helping people get back to work, or whatever it is. I mean, really, at the end of the day, it's that human interaction
Right.
that, for me, is the most important in
Sure.
how you touch people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Corretta, if you weren't pursuing your current business, what else would you be doing?
Well, I'd probably go back to school and study fashion again, but maybe study to where I can kind of work on costumes for movies. I always thought that'd be really cool.
Mm,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that would be very
Yeah.
cool. Yes. to do.
Especially, yeah, definitely.
So, Leanne, now you do a gazillion things. So, what else would you be doing? What's a gazillionth and one thing?
I
that
know,
you do?
right? So I was thinking about that, and seriously, about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I was going, I have to get a job. We were not that profitable at work, and we were really struggling. And I was seriously thinking, I've got to go back to school, or I've got to go get a job. And I decided I needed to put more time into the business. And it took, it was a lot of soul searching of, what am I going to do? What are my priorities? And I was like, wow, to have the flexibility that I need to do the things that I like to do, I'm going to put my energy into my business, because my business is my job, right? And so, and I had been, a volunteer everywhere else, and I just needed to really do a full time at work. And so I did go through that. What do I want to do? I think if I were to do anything else, I love the medical field. So I would do some sort of medical research or nursing or radiology, something in the medical field, if I were to do something completely different. Yeah.
And I'm sure you'd be successful at that too.
I'm sure.
How about for you,
Johanna? I'm doing exactly what I want to right now. I mean, that's I guess the irony is I had many choices, and I found what I'm passionate about. So that's what I'm doing.
Excellent. No, that's good. What other women do you admire, and why?
Wow. Years ago, when I was in undergrad, I met Gloria Steinem. And what a tour de force. I mean, she just lived the life that she thought women should be allowed to live. She just took no prisoners. She spoke and acted exactly what she felt the way the world should treat women. Mm-hmm. And flash forward, I don't know, a couple of decades, and my daughter just met her on campus too.
Oh, wow.
And when she said, "Hey, I just met this most incredible person," and she started talking about her, and her name's Gloria Steinem, I just couldn't stop laughing, because we've now come full circle. But talk about, I think she just turned 80.
Wow.
Is that right? I believe so.
Wow.
What an amazing person. She changed the way people treated women, the way women thought about themselves, and she's still doing it.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a great. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay. Full circle
Full
here
circle.
with your daughter.
Yeah.
Corretta, same question.
Sophia Amoroso, she's the founder of nastygal.com, which is also an online fashion store. And she inspires me because she was my age, 23, working at, some job that she could care less about, selling clothes on eBay, probably still figuring out what she wanted to do. And then she, I guess got kicked out of eBay for whatever reason and just opened her online fashion store and got the help of her friends and family. And now it's huge. Like she's like made over 100 million in sales. So
wow,
she's definitely someone I look up to.
Wow. Yeah. That's great. And Leanne?
Wow. I really admire my mom. I think that what she did throughout her career and where she is now, and the path that she went on to sort of really own herself and to be happy with what she's doing and giving back to the world, that journey has been really inspirational for me. She taught special ed for years and years and years in the area here. And then she went back to school to get her master's degree because she thought the next step was to be a principal. And after she got that, she was like, this is totally not what I want to do. What am I doing? And so in the end, she used that, the educational experience and everything and her degree for the job she has now, which is the executive director of a nonprofit in Oregon. And and it's working with adults with special needs. So it's all related, right? Sure. But, her path and what I admire so much is that she's joyful, she gives back, she loves what she does, and, she's 72 and going on like 45. I mean, you just can't ask for more. She's a terrific role model.
That's great.
Very inspirational.
Yeah.
Well, Leanne, Corretta, and Johanna, thank you very much for being on the show. And I also want to, again, congratulate you on all your success and what you're doing with your own business and the influence and the impact that you're having, not just to other women, but overall in the community. So thank you very much for being on the show. And stay tuned next month for our next show. And thank you very much and have a wonderful evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.